Welcome with us to listen a new story. We made beautiful stories and we shared every days. And if you have some kind of stories we gonna made it for you, just share it with us, in the comment below, or in the email. Now let's go to office and start the story of today. Prophet Solomon, was the youngest son of Dawud David, and the third king of the people of Israel. Allah bestowed many gifts to Sulaiman, including the ability to speak with animals and rule over Jinn. He ruled justly and is often regarded as one of the greatest rulers. Sulaiman was the son of Prophet Dawud, David. Dawud was the wise king of Israel and a noble prophet of Allah, SWT. Sulaiman learnt from his father's vast knowledge and judgment and often joined his father during hearings. He was an observer and learned from him and occasionally contributed to the discussion. One day Prophet Dawud called his 19 sons in front of the chiefs and academic scholars of his kingdom. He then put forth the following questions. 1. Which thing is closest, nearest, to man? 2. Which is the farthest thing? 3. Which two things are attached to each other? 4. Which is the most creating thing? 5. Which two things remain unchanged? 6. Which two things are always different? 7. Which two things are opposed to each other? 8. What is the action the result of which is good? 9. What is that action the result of which is bad? The sons of Prophet Dawud became flustered and couldn't answer these questions. The youngest of the sons, Sulaiman, stood up and gave the following answers. 1. The nearest things to a man is the hereafter, life and death, as one may die any moment. 2. The farthest things is the time which has passed away, which is not to come again. 3. The two things that are attached to each other is man's body with the soul. 4. The most creating is the man's body, dead, without soul. 5. The two things which remain the same are the sky and the earth. 6. The two things which are different are the day and night. 7. The two things which are opposed to each other are life and death. 8. The action, the end of which is good, is patience and forbearance at the time of anger. 9. The action, the end of which is bad, is haste at the time of anger. Impressed by these answers, Prophet Dawud appointed his son Sulaiman to take charge following his death. So, with the passing of time, Sulaiman inherited the kingdom of Israel and was elected by Allah to continue his prophethood. He beseeched his Lord for a kingdom that would occur to none after him. Allah granted Sulaiman his wish and bestowed upon him many miracles, like the ability to control the wind which he used to travel at incredible speeds, the jinns which were under his command, and a copper mine with which he used to make weaponry. He was even blessed with the ability to communicate with animals. The Quran makes mention of this. Prophet Sulaiman and his battalion of men, jinns and birds, came upon the valley of the ants, and ants said, O ants, enter your dwellings that you not be crushed by Sulaiman and his soldiers while they perceive not. So, Solomon smiled, amused at her speech, and said, My Lord, enable me to be grateful for your favor which you have bestowed upon me and upon my parents, and to do righteousness of which you approve. And admit me by your mercy into the ranks of your righteous servants. Surah Naml ayat 18-19. In his mission as a prophet of Allah, Sulaiman built a prominent place of worship, the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. From there Sulaiman and his followers made pilgrimage to Makkah. On completion of their Hajj, they traveled to Yemen, where Sulaiman witnessed the Yemenis' incredible water channeling mechanism. He desired to replicate this system in his own land, but knew that they had insufficient springs. Determined to find a way, Sulaiman set about looking for the hoopoe bird, which had the ability to detect water underground. But the bird was nowhere in sight. Sulaiman, who grew increasingly impatient, exclaimed, Why do I not see the hoopoe bird, or is he among the absent? I will surely punish him with a severe torment, or slaughter him, unless he brings me a clear reason. Before long, the hoopoe returned to his master with great news. But the hoopoe stayed not long and said, I have encompassed, in knowledge, that which you have not encompassed, and I have come to you from Sheba with certain news. Indeed, I found there a woman ruling them, and she has been given of all things, and she has a great throne. I found her and her people prostrating to the sun instead of Allah, and Satan has made their deeds pleasing to them and averted them from his way, so they are not guided, and so they do not prostrate to Allah, who brings forth what is hidden within the heavens and the earth and knows what you conceal and what you declare. Allah, there is no deity except him, Lord of the great throne. Surah Naml ayat 22-26. Prophet Sulaiman said, We will see whether you were truthful or were of the liars. Take this letter of mine and deliver it to them. Then leave them and see what answer they will return. Surah Naml Ayat 27-28. The hoopoe bird flew back to Bilqis's palace and dropped Sulaiman's letter before her. He soon hid and watched what happened. Having noticed the letter, Bilqis began reading it. Verily, it is from Solomon. It reads, "In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, be you not exalted against me, but come to me as Muslims." Bilqis immediately summoned her chiefs and sought their advice. They replied, "We have great strength and great ability for war, but it is for you to command, so think over what you will command." Bilqis, however, was not in favor of war as they were unaware of the size of Sulaiman's army. She answered, "Verily, kings, when they enter a town, they despoil it, and make the most honorable amongst its people low." She decided, as a token of friendship, to send Sulaiman some valuable gifts through her messengers, who could also bring back information about Sulaiman's army. Sulaiman immediately learnt of Bilqis's response through the hoopoe. He decided to display the might of his army to her messengers. When the messengers arrived, all of Sulaiman's army complete with animals, such as lions and tigers, birds, men and jinn, gathered before them. Bilqis's messengers were indeed stunned by the size and variety of Sulaiman's battalion. His incomparable strength was eminent. The messengers eagerly presented Bilqis's gift to Sulaiman with a pledge of friendship. Sulaiman replied, "Will you help me in wealth? What Allah has given me is better than that which He has given you. Nay, you rejoice in your gift." Sulaiman then turned to the chief of her messengers and instructed, "Go back to them. We verily shall come to them with hosts that they cannot resist, and we shall drive them out from there in disgrace, and they will be abased." Shocked, the messengers soon returned to their queen and conveyed Sulaiman's message together with an account of the magnificence of Sulaiman's kingdom. Bilqis decided to meet Sulaiman in person, together with her officials. On receiving this news, Sulaiman decided to show Bilqis and her officials the power of the miracles bestowed to him by Allah. He asked his army, "Which of you can bring me Bilqis's throne before they come to me," surrendering themselves in obedience. Ifrit, one of the powerful jinns, immediately responded to Prophet Sulaiman, "I will bring it to you before you rise from your place. And verily, I am indeed strong and trustworthy for such work." 27:30 But Sulaiman remained silent, awaiting a better offer. Another jinn with knowledge of the scriptures spoke up, "I will bring it to you before your glance returns to you." And when Solomon saw it placed before him, he said, "This is from the favor of my Lord to test me whether I will be grateful or ungrateful. And whoever is grateful, his gratitude is only for the benefit of himself. And whoever is ungrateful, then indeed, my Lord is free of need and generous." 27:40 I will bring it to you within the twinkling of an eye. And in a split second the throne of Bilqis was brought from across 2,000 miles to Prophet Sulaiman. Sulaiman himself was amazed by the miracle Allah had given him and praised his Lord immensely. Sulaiman then instructed the jinn, "Disguise for her throne. We will see whether she will be guided to truth, or will be of those who is not guided." 27:41 He then ordered the jinns to build a palace with floors made of thin but solid glass, underneath through which rivers flowed. When Bilqis arrived, her throne immediately caught her attention. Having noticed Bilqis's reaction to the throne, Sulaiman asked, "Is your throne like this?" Bilqis was thoroughly confused. She wondered if her throne actually got here or if it was possible that someone replicated it. She replied cautiously, "It is as though it was the very same." Sulaiman judged her to be intelligent and diplomatic, so he then invited her to his palace. When Bilqis was about to enter, she mistook the glass floor for water and lifted her skirts. In the Quran it says, she thought it was a body of water and uncovered her shins to wade through. He said, "Indeed, it is a palace whose floor is made smooth with glass." She said, "My Lord, indeed I have wronged myself, and I submit with Solomon to Allah, Lord of the worlds." 27:44 Bilqis realized that Sulaiman's kingdom was indeed unlike any palace she had seen before. She witnessed his wisdom and humility along with his mighty power and accepted him as the messenger of Allah. She repented and embraced Islam along with her nation. Prophet Sulaiman lived and reigned in glory. Much of his public work was performed by the jinns as a punishment for making people believe that jinns had knowledge of the unseen. Sulaiman taught his people that Allah alone had such knowledge. Even Prophet Sulaiman's death was a lesson in this regard. The future is not known neither by the jinns nor by the prophets, but by Allah alone. Sulaiman was seated, holding his staff, while he oversees some jinns working in a mine. The jinns, who were terrified of Sulaiman, were heavily focused on the building when Allah decided to take Sulaiman's life. No one was aware of his death, until days later, a hungry ant began nibbling on his wooden staff. As it ate on, the staff broke and Prophet Sulaiman's body that was leaning on it fell to the floor. People ran to their prophet, and soon realized that he had died long ago. Thus everyone learned that had the jinns possessed the knowledge of the unseen, they wouldn't have tormented themselves working hard, thinking Sulaiman was watching them. The life and death of Sulaiman is indeed full of miracles from which mankind can derive incredible lessons. And when we decreed for Solomon death, nothing indicated to the jinn his death except a creature of the earth eating his staff. But when he fell, it became clear to the jinn that if they had known the unseen, they would not have remained in humiliating punishment. 34:14. So that was the end of this beautiful story. Share with us your thoughts and the stories that you wanted to see in our channel in comments.